Breaking right now on Morning News Now, dropping out. NBC News has just learned Nikki Haley is ending her presidential campaign today after a disappointing Super Tuesday. Now, the stage is set for a 2024 rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
This was an amazing night, an amazing day. It's been an incredible period of time in our country's history.
We have team coverage with the latest Super Tuesday returns and what happens next. Also this morning, still no deal to end the fighting in Gaza, with Ramadan now just days away. We'll bring you the latest on negotiations, plus the warning from the UN as the humanitarian crisis grows. And the Biden administration cracking down on credit card fees, the new cap on penalties for late payments, and what it means for your wallet. Also, bad foundation if you wear makeup while working out. Doctors say you may want to break out the wipes, but a new study found about the effects of sweating with product on your skin.
Good to have you with us on this Super Wednesday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Let's get right to this breaking news this morning in the race for the White House. NBC News has learned that former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley will end her campaign for president. That is according to two sources familiar with Haley's plans.
The news comes after millions of people across the country cast their votes on Super Tuesday. It was a dominating night for former President Donald Trump, who is now the apparent GOP nominee. Haley lost every state except Vermont, which was only her second win in 2024. She also came out on top in the D.C. primary this past weekend. Now, she's set to announce the end of her campaign when she gives remarks at 10 a.m. Eastern in Charleston, South Carolina.
Last night, Trump held a victory party at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida, saying he's looking forward to the general election.
They tell me, the pundits and otherwise, that there's never been one like this. There's never been anything so conclusive. November 5th is going to go down as the single most important day in the history of our country.
One other primary race of note, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff and Republican Steve Garvey will advance to the general election in the California Senate race. Under California's rules, the top two vote-getters advance to the general election no matter their party affiliation. The winner in the fall will take the seat that was held for decades by Senator Dianne Feinstein, who died last September. We have team coverage ahead this morning, recapping Super Tuesday, including NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Serkin, NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. But let's start with NBC's Ali Vitale in Daniel Island, South Carolina. Ali, good morning. Let's get to that breaking news about Nikki Haley's campaign. What can you tell us?
Hey guys, good morning. Before the sun was even up here in South Carolina, we were able to confirm the news that Nikki Haley later this morning would be ending her bid for president. Of course, it ends after Super Tuesday, which was a difficult night for the Haley campaign. Of course, you also have to imagine that Trump would have liked to have a clean sweep of all these Super Tuesday states, and instead there's Haley notching that win in Vermont. Of course, that is historic in that it makes Haley the first woman to win two Republican primary contests. Initially, she had made history by winning that first one in D.C. over the weekend, but certainly even as she leaves the race, leaving a legacy of history for women to come behind her. But for Haley this morning, I'm told that she is not likely to endorse in this speech that we expect her to give around 10 o'clock in the building behind me. Instead, as one person put it to us, the ball is in Trump's court to win back the voters that Haley had managed to pull to her cause. And I have to tell you, that's probably going to be an uphill climb for the Trump campaign, especially because some of those folks said they're never going to be in the market to vote for Trump.
Ali, walk us through the Trump campaign's night coast to coast. What can we expect to see from him in the coming days? What do you think we'll hear today?
Well, look, you imagine that this is a person who now is sitting there with the nomination well in hand. He no longer has any rivals. It's been clear that that has chagrined him over the course of the last several weeks. Even since leaving South Carolina, he couldn't seem to wait the 2 weeks to actually pivot into a general election posture. That, of course, led to some of the name calling that has become so characteristic of him, focusing on his only rival, Nikki Haley. Haley, for her part, was very critical of the former president, especially in these waning long weeks of the campaign, attacking him on everything from his moral fiber on the world stage to his mental fitness. Those are attacks that even if Haley, and as she leaves the race, those attacks are not going anywhere, because for several weeks she provided a real echo chamber for the Biden campaign to amplify the attacks and have it be that it's a Republican. The call coming from inside the GOP House criticizing the former president made it less party line affiliated and much more something that they can try to take into a general election and say, hey, it's not just Democrats saying this stuff about Trump, it's the people who ran against him and served in his administration at one point.
Allie, you mentioned right now we don't expect Haley to have an endorsement. Walk us through sort of the timeline of this from back on that debate stage when everyone put their hands up saying they would, to where she might be now, what might be going on in her head as she tries to figure out her next step.
Well, look, guys, here's the problem with a GOP loyalty pledge that is actually just a piece of paper. It's not binding. There's nothing the RNC can do to enforce it. As Haley herself pointed out over the weekend on Meet the Press, she had to sign that pledge to get on the debate stage. I would also note that Trump never signed a pledge like that. And in fact, the only reason the RNC started asking about loyalty pledges is because Trump in 2016, during that primary when I was covering it, was saying that he might not support the nominee if it was anyone other than him. Sound familiar about the way that he's run most of his campaigns? He now has the party forcing themselves to ask other candidates if they would endorse the person who wins, knowing full well that the only reason they're asking that question is because of the guy who is ultimately going to win the nomination. So some real circular logic here at the RNC. But Haley now saying, actually, I'm good. Since the paper's not binding and the debates are over, I'm going to do what I want to do. And very clearly this morning, what she doesn't want to do is endorse Trump.
All right. Allie Vitale, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, big news. Let's now bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, good morning. So what are your big takeaways from last night? What stood out to you as results came in?
It was a dominant performance by Donald Trump in the Super Tuesday states. And by the numbers, Savannah, Trump ended up winning 14 out of the 15 states holding contests last night, with his only loss in the Vermont primary. He ended up winning 94% of the delegates that have been awarded so far on Super Tuesday. And as you end up seeing, his delegate lead before we got the news of Nikki Haley's exit from this contest later this morning, about 1,000 delegate lead over Nikki Haley. And so, Nikki Haley ended up telling my colleague Kristen Welker on Meet the Press that she was going to continue to stay in this contest as long as it remained competitive. And I think we got our answer last night on whether this race is competitive or not from those results.
So, Mark, at this point, we know Nikki Haley got 20-30% in some states within the Republican Party. There's some Democrats who are interested in her. There's some independents who are interested in her. Who do you think gets her voters at this point as we move to the general election?
Joe, we ended up getting some clues in the exit poll. It's going to be about half. And what we ended up seeing last night, Donald Trump ended up having a dominant performance among self-described Republicans, conservative voters. Nikki Haley did very well, as we've seen in previous contests, with moderates and liberals, as well as political independents. But there is a clue in the exit poll that we ended up getting last night about who these Nikki Haley voters are. In Virginia, for example, we ended up finding 51% of Nikki Haley's voters said that they approve of President Biden's job performance versus 47% who say they disapprove. That 50-50 split, Joe, I think is a good indication on the people who are going to vote for Joe Biden and who might already be Joe Biden voters before this primary season even began versus those Republicans, and again, about half who are Republicans and that Donald Trump needs to win back.
And then, Mark, let's zero in on former President Trump and talk through his strengths and weaknesses here. What did exit polling tell us?
Yeah, and Savannah, again, the pattern that we ended up seeing last night was that he did so well among conservative and Republican primary voters. And again, those are the bedrock, those are the voters you want to do well in a Republican primary. They make up the bulk of the voters. And as he ended up doing in New Hampshire and Iowa and South Carolina, he ended up doing very well last night in Virginia and North Carolina among those conservatives. Where he didn't do all that well, though, was among the moderates and independents. And again, that has been Nikki Haley's lane in this race. She did very very well, and that is an indication of the work he has to do, at least with the Republicans who are open to voting for him come November.
Mark, as we pivot now to the general election, let's touch on President Biden's night. Does his showing give us any more clues about how he might do in November? He didn't have a strong challenger like Nikki Haley, but there were some other people on the ballot. What did we learn?
Yeah, I think we learned that he's cruising to his party's nomination, Joe, and he has faced very little competition, as you ended up mentioning. There were some states where he ended up getting almost all the votes, but there was a contest like in Minnesota, for example, where he ended up getting 70%, and you ended up having uncommitted getting a sizable share of that vote. And also in a contest like America's Samoa, he ended up losing to a no-name person who we'd never even heard of named Jason Palmer last night. But, Joe, I wouldn't give too much credence into the minority of voters who voted against Joe Biden in the Democratic primary in places like Minnesota or even in America's Samoa. Joe Biden has cruised to his party's nomination. The party has decided he's going to be their nominee. We're going to have the general election over the next 8 months now.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Murray, thank you very much.
200+ days. All right. This morning, there is a major shakeup in a key race that could determine control of the Senate. Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema, an independent who caucuses with Democrats, announced she is not running for re-election.
In a blistering video that she posted on the social media site X, the one-term senator touted her accomplishments while she was in office before blaming her decision not to run again on the current toxic political environment.
These solutions are considered failures, either because they're too much or not nearly enough. It's all or nothing. The outcome, less important than beating the other guy.
NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with more. So how much of a surprise is it that Senator Sinema is not going to run again? And where does this leave the Arizona Senate race?
Guys, the timing coming on a Super Tuesday was certainly somewhat of a surprise to those on Capitol Hill, even her colleagues that she worked so closely with. But the fact that she decided not to run is not really a surprise to those of us who have covered her and watched her closely. I was told by sources for some time now that bipartisan border bill that she was working on was really the linchpin to decide, for Sinema to decide whether she's going to continue forward and have something to run on in a state where Democrats have certainly waned in support on her over the last few years, or whether she's going to bow out because she sees the writing on the wall here. And certainly that is what happened here in this situation. Now, the race is effectively between Republican Kari Lake, who was up on Capitol Hill yesterday and got some key endorsements, told me she has other endorsements coming in coming days, and Democrat Ruben Gallego, who's a member of the House, who certainly has known Sinema for some time. But I did talk to Lake yesterday in the Capitol. Here's what she had to say.
I've always gotten along with her and liked her a lot. We disagree on probably every policy, but that doesn't mean that you can't be friendly with people. And I appreciate a couple of her very strong, courageous votes.
Now, look, Kari Lake has said some very disparaging comments about not only Sinema, but many others, especially when she ran for governor. She's Trump endorsed, but she did say one of the things she fears is the filibuster going away now that Sinema is out. And that is something Senator Manchin, who also voted to protect the filibuster alongside with Sinema, who's also retiring, said to me yesterday. So certainly this will change the dynamics of the Senate. We'll see what happens in that very competitive race.
Julie, let's also not talk about the fight to replace Mitch McConnell as Senate Minority Leader. That was a three-way race, now down to two people. Who's in the running and how's it going?
Yeah, exactly. John Barrasso, who is the current conference chair, he's from Wyoming. The former president wanted him to run for leader. He said he's decided to run for the number 2 position, the whip position, the one who counts the votes. Also very important, but not leader. So that leaves this essentially a two-way race between John Cornyn and John Thune, who is currently the whip, the number 2 position. However, guys, we are like 9 months away from this decision even happening. So it is possible that others could jump in the race. For example, Rick Scott had floated jumping in, Steve Daines, who's currently the guy in charge of electing Senate Republicans into Congress. And so there's a lot that can happen, but right now it is effectively between those two guys, and certainly they're trying to both lock up support.
It's like a reality show, John versus John versus John. As you point out, this isn't going to happen till after the election. So how much could the election and the results, whether Trump wins or loses, whether Republicans take control of the Senate or not, how much could that influence who does end up becoming the Senate leader?
It will absolutely influence that process, guys. We've even seen that in the last couple of weeks. For example, Thune and Cornyn, the two jobs, they both endorsed the former president. Really surprising is Thune, because he said for quite some time that he wasn't planning on doing so. They had a tough relationship, but he really sees the writing on the wall that if this guy is going to become the party's nominee, and if he becomes president, the majority leader in the Senate, certainly, or the minority leader, certainly has to work well with him. So that is going to have some effect there. Also interesting, I asked Carrie Lake this question yesterday because she was no fan of McConnell. She said she has no opinion as of yet as to who should become leader. Of course, a predictable answer from her, but she did say that key endorsements and those vying to be leader are going to come out in the coming days, and that could be telling because she is aligned with Trump. So certainly we're going to see more of that happen in the coming months. And again, Trump can always put his thumb on the scale, as he's known to have done, and certainly decide a leader that way. But we really have a lot of time, and we have to get through the election first.
Yeah, that little small thing called the general election. Julie Sirkin, thank you so much.
200-something days away. All right. Turning now to the war in Gaza, and Hamas says it's pushing ahead with ceasefire talks in Cairo, despite negotiations ending yesterday without a breakthrough.
While the militant group has been locked in talks with international mediators, Israel did not send a delegation. Under the 6-week ceasefire deal that's being discussed, there would be a release of some Israeli hostages and some Palestinian prisoners and an increase in aid to Gaza's starving population.
NBC News International correspondent Molly Hunter joins us on this now. Molly, good morning. So we know there's an urgency to get a deal done before the start of Ramadan specifically. Where do things stand this morning, and what is the Biden administration saying at this point about the talks?
Hey, guys, good morning. Well, we're certainly hearing the urgency from the White House, from Biden administration officials. Take a quick listen to actually what President Biden had to say about it, and I'll talk to you about it on the back end.
It's in the hands of Hamas right now. The Israelis have been cooperating. There's an offer out there that's rational. We don't know what. We'll know in a couple of days if it's going to happen. But we need the ceasefire. There's got to be a ceasefire. Because Ramadan, if we get into a circumstance where this continues through Ramadan, Israel and Jerusalem, it could be very, very dangerous. So we're trying hard for that ceasefire.
Ramadan starts on March 10th. That's just a couple of days away, though, guys. As you said, the delegation in Cairo said no agreement had been met yesterday. And Hamas really points the finger at Israel this morning, saying they didn't even bother to send a delegation to Cairo. We are not hearing the same kind of urgency about a ceasefire, about hostage release negotiations, and about reaching that deal from the Israelis as of this morning, guys.
The urgency outside of that seems to be coming from the level of starvation in Gaza, which is why so many people do want to see a ceasefire. Yesterday, a World Food Program aid convoy turned away from entering northern Gaza by Israeli forces. Also yesterday, a damning new report by a group of UN experts accusing Israel of intentionally starving people in Gaza, targeting aid convoys. What more can you tell us about that and how Israel is responding to that?
Yeah, Joe, really, really strong language from those UN experts, which I'll get to, about the WFP aid convoy. You'll remember that last month, WFP, the World Food Program, paused their convoys to the north of Gaza, where aid organizations have said the neediest people, the highest levels of malnutrition and severe starvation are happening right now. They paused those convoys because they could not get those trucks safely in. Well, yesterday, they said a 14-truck convoy was turned back by the Israeli military at the Wadi Gaza checkpoint. Guys, WFP and other aid organizations are also very clear. The only way to avert famine is by getting these huge trucks with tons of aid in. That airdrops and other kind of options being discussed. There's a sea option now on the table being discussed. Those are last resorts. And from that panel yesterday, you guys, really stark language. I just want to read one line to you. From these UN experts, they say Israel has been intentionally starving the Palestinian people in Gaza since October 8th. Now it is targeting civilians seeking humanitarian aid and humanitarian convoys. Israel must end its campaign of starvation and targeting of civilians. And that is a direct quote, really questioning Israel's commitment to international law, guys.
All right. And Molly, Israel's War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz, he's been in the U.S. meeting with officials over the past few days. What came out of those talks?
Yeah, he has been in the U.S., all very high-level meetings, and really the Biden administration officials have been speaking with one voice. He heard the same message from Secretary of State Blinken, from the Vice President, from the Defense Secretary: get more aid in. Why is there this holdup? Why is Israel putting up obstacles to getting the aid to the people who need it most? And really all signs that the White House is upping their pressure on the Netanyahu government, even though Gantz, it's very clear, was not doing the bidding, was not going because of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Gantz is a member of the War Cabinet. He is an influential voice. He is not the final voice, though. And today, actually, you guys, Gantz is here in London. He's expected to have a meeting with the Foreign Minister, David Cameron. It's expected to be a very tough meeting. The UK, similarly to the US, has also run out of patience. And we heard actually Cameron yesterday use very strong language, kind of previewing his meeting with Gantz today. But the fact that he was in the U.S., now in the UK, it was not through the Netanyahu government, it was not through the Israeli Foreign Ministry, really suggests and really points to the fact that the U.S. and UK are getting exasperated with the lack of aid getting in and with the Netanyahu administration.
All right, Molly Hunter, thank you.
The soggy weather here to stay on the East Coast, plus flood watches for 30 million people stretching from New Jersey to Massachusetts.
Angie Lastman is here with the latest on the forecast. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Umbrellas are needed across mainly the eastern third of the country, and we've already had a busy morning so far. We had a line of showers and thunderstorms working through South Florida. That is moving out, but still some leftover lingering rain. Really heavy rain centered across parts of the southeast through the early morning hours today. Places like Atlanta already picking up a couple inches of rain, even up until now, and more on the way here as we look from the mid-Atlantic over to the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee valleys. That's where we've already been soggy across this region for the better part of the morning hours. And you can see it's been pretty quiet across the Northeast so far. That's going to change here as the day goes on. This moisture is going to start to lift up into that region, and we'll be dealing with some busy conditions, especially along the I-95 corridor here as we get into that really important commute time. We've got some alerts up already, 30 million people included in those. New York, Hartford, Boston, all included, with those major cities being impacted by the potential for some flash flooding here as we get through the day today. And you can see why. Plenty of moisture going to lift into the area. We've got the chance for some impressive rainfall rates. We're talking 1 to 2 inches per hour, potentially up to 3 inches per hour. Short period of time, prolonged rain. Not hard for us to see some flooding, especially in those more vulnerable areas that we oftentimes see the flooding, the urban areas. Here's the deal as far as this evening. You can see this rain is still going to be around here even well past the afternoon commute. Well into the evening, we'll still be dealing with the rain. Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., into portions of Virginia. That'll be something that we have to watch for. And the moderate to heavy rain is going to be basically Virginia to Maine. Now, tomorrow, if you're looking ahead, this rain will stick around for the first half of the day for some locations. It'll linger across parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and then eventually move out. That system moves offshore, and we'll be looking better, but not before we deal with some of that early kind of rain for the first half of the day. We'll see some drier conditions behind that, and we'll get some major improvements. Now, rainfall totals anywhere from another 1 to 2 inches up to 3 inches across the southeast. Possible to see some flooding across that region, guys. And the flash flooding is going to be something we continue to see be a potential here across the northeast, not just today, but into tomorrow, too.
All right. Umbrellas. I still got it.
Yep, good. I forgot mine today, so what does that say?
I usually do,
we
but
can
today
share
I
if
had
you
it.
would like. All right.
Angie, thank you. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, overdue. We've got some news for you. We'll tell you about a new cap on credit card late fees that could save customers billions of dollars.
Up next after the break, more legal trouble for disgraced Senator Bob Menendez. We're going to break down the new charges he's facing next. Stay with us. Welcome back. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is facing new charges this morning, alleging that he and his wife obstructed justice in the bribery case against them. Those obstruction charges were added to a rewritten indictment against the couple. This means Senator Menendez now faces a total of 18 federal charges.
Prosecutors have alleged that Menendez and his wife, Nadine, used his political influence to pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes, including cash, gold bars, payments toward a home mortgage, and a luxury vehicle. Menendez released a statement yesterday saying, quote, "I am innocent and will prove it no matter how many charges they continue to pile on." Both Menendez and his wife have pleaded not guilty to charges.
NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us now. Ken, good to have you with us. So what more can you tell us about the new charges here?
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. Look, prosecutors here are accusing Menendez and his co-defendants of trying to cover up a bribe by making it look like a loan. And they say that they lied to their own lawyers as part of this. This was during the investigation, and that then those lawyers inadvertently conveyed false information to federal prosecutors. That could make those lawyers witnesses in the case against Mr. Menendez.
Ken, the new indictment comes just days after one of Menendez's co-defendants, actually. This is a New Jersey businessman. His name's Jose Uribe. He pled guilty and agreed to cooperate with the probe. How important is that going to be to this case? What's his testimony going to mean here?
Well, you put your finger on it, Savannah. That appears to be the source of these new allegations. This New Jersey businessman, Jose Uribe, was accused in the indictment of providing a Mercedes for Nadine Menendez and making payments on that car in exchange for official acts by the senator. A few days ago, he agreed to cooperate and plead guilty, and court papers say that he is telling prosecutors that after a subpoena went out about the Mercedes, Nadine Menendez went to him and they concocted a story, a false story about the payments, and that's the cover-up that prosecutors are alleging.
So, Ken, this is not the first superseding indictment we've seen in this case. The trial date is set for May 6th. Could this new indictment have any impact on the timeline, and how likely is it we could see even more charges before then?
Hard to know about more charges, Joe, but this certainly could impact the timeline. Prosecutors are telling the judge it should not, but that's their view. I'm sure defense lawyers will have a different view once they have a chance to digest all this. Expanding the charges by 14 is deeply significant, as one of the lawyers put yesterday. But again, some of those lawyers may not be able to represent the defendants anymore because they may end up being witnesses, guys.
All right. Ken Delaney and Ken, thank you so much.
And in Georgia today, state defense attorney Ashley Merchant is expected to appear before the committee investigating Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis.
Merchant was subpoenaed by the Republican-led committee back in February. She's been leading the charge to try and remove Willis from the election interference case against Trump and many others. She says Willis failed to disclose a romantic relationship with Nathan Wade, a special prosecutor Willis appointed to lead the case. Both Willis and Wade have denied any wrongdoing.
Joining us now for more is NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Danny, good morning. So Merchant's the first person to testify here before this legislative committee investigating Willis and Wade's relationship. What do you expect the focus to be today?
We already know because we watched it in the hearings last week. It's going to be about what does Merchant know, what is the basis of her knowledge, and what is the basis for her belief that one of her witnesses, Terrence Bradley, knows a lot more than he testified to on the stand. Now, Merchant may have some objections based on confidentiality, possibly work product, but in all likelihood, she's aligned with the committee, and to some degree, to the extent she brought out her own work product during cross-examination, she may have waived that, but she may not even be looking to assert that kind of privilege against disclosing this information because she has an interest in getting it out there in a place where the rules of evidence don't constrain her the way they did in court.
So, yeah, in this election interference case, she's representing Michael Roman, who's one of many co-defendants in this case. And along those lines, I guess I have the question, are there any potential attorney-client privilege issues here, any conflicts that she could have here where she can't answer certain questions?
In theory, yes. But because she brought all of this out in hearings last week, it would be hard to argue that, say, for example, as an attorney, when I do an investigation, I can claim that, hey, you don't get access to my investigation. That's not fair. You go do your own investigation. But sometimes you can waive that. And a good example would be if you introduce part of your investigation into the record. And that's why it's generally, it's actually an interesting topic because it's generally a good idea to hire an investigator to do all of this kind of work because you avoid that awkward situation we saw last week where you're an attorney saying, remember when you and I talked about this and I showed you this text message and I showed you this? You want to avoid a situation where the attorney is testifying. But still, nothing wrong really with what Merchant did. I doubt she's going to assert any kind of privilege or confidentiality because she has an interest in getting this information out.
How far can the state committee take this investigation? What are the possible end routes here?
Georgia's legislature is a lot like the federal legislature, Congress. They hold investigative hearings, but there really isn't any criminal or even civil consequences. There are if you refuse to show up and you're subpoenaed, but it's mostly a fact-finding mission. I mean, the same limits on Congress, which is they can investigate anything upon which legislation may be had. So these hearings aren't at all criminal in nature. They aren't at all anything with consequences for the Fulton County case itself, no substantive consequences. But obviously, they would have major reputational consequences if more information comes out that we didn't hear or couldn't hear because of the rules of evidence in that Fulton County hearing before Judge McAfee.
This committee says it's going to investigate for as long as it takes. All indications are it's going to take at least a while. Is it possible anything this committee does could actually impact the election interference case against Trump and his co-defendants?
Yes, but the main way I would see that is if information comes out in this legislative hearing that gives a thread to pull on, that comes back to this disqualification hearing, and then Judge McAfee considers it. I don't know if that's going to happen in the next couple weeks or even if the evidentiary hearings are going to be reopened at all by Judge McAfee. So it might not have that much of an effect because when you step back, you have to remember that this disqualification hearing and Fani Willis's alleged sexual trysts with whomever or whatever, if true, has no effect on the substantive guilt or innocence of the defendants. And the state has made that argument, and they're right. I mean, what really happens is if Fani Willis is disqualified, then you have a problem who's going to take up the prosecution for her. But nothing is really affected of the substantive guilt of the defendants or innocence if the DA's office is disqualified.
A reminder, we're still waiting for that decision on whether she will be disqualified, which could come in a week or probably for sure 2 weeks, right?
Yes, depending on whether or not Judge McAfee reopens the hearings, which he might. You really don't know.
All right.
Danny Savalos, as always, thank you.
International news now. Haiti's prime minister is in Puerto Rico this morning following days of unrest across Haiti.
NBC and MSNBC international correspondent Claudio Lubanga joins us now. Claudio, good morning.
Guys, good morning. Well, that's right. According to local media, the prime minister of Haiti was forced to land in Puerto Rico on Tuesday after he was allegedly not allowed to return to his own country. Now, for the past few days, Prime Minister Ariel Henry was on an official visit abroad. But upon return to Haiti, armed gangs tried to take over the international airport to stop him from landing. Their leader, Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier, has demanded that the prime minister stand down, warning that the country is headed, quote, straight for a civil war that will lead to genocide otherwise. While Henry was away from the country, violence in Haiti has spiraled out of control, leading up to a massive jailbreak from the country's biggest prison. Now let's go to India, where thousands of farmers resumed a protest to demand minimum price guarantees for their crops. The farmers' strike started at the beginning of February, but was suspended after a young farmer died during that protest. Now they are planning to march once again to the capital, Delhi, but to prevent them from entering, the city borders have been heavily barricaded and police have been deployed. Apart from guarantees on pricing, the farmers are also looking for pensions for the elderly and ask the government to waive their debts. And let's end this tour of the world in Paris, where the government announced that tourists will not be allowed to watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics this summer for free. Initially, organizers plan to allow free access to as many as 600,000 people to watch the opening ceremony along the banks of the River Seine. But security concerns led to the government to scale back ambitions. Now, the number of spectators have already been reduced to 300,000. More than 100,000 of them will be paying ticket holders with spots along the lower river banks, but none of the 200,000 will watch from the upper banks, but by invitation only. Or you can just sit back, relax, and watch it on NBC for free.
There you go. Claudia, thank you.
Coming up, new developments on a deadly explosion at a building in Michigan. What investigators say they found inside that likely helped fuel the flames.
Plus, another reminder of the dangers of too much screen time. What parents need to know after the break in our weekly checkup. You're watching Morning News Now. We are back with the latest information on that massive explosion in Michigan that left one person dead. Officials say an investigation is underway to determine the cause of the fire. Authorities report that the business appeared to have been illegally storing flammable materials. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus has the details.
Massive explosions lighting up the sky in Michigan, causing a massive factory fire at an industrial site about 25 miles outside Detroit.
We got multiple explosions and a lot of debris in the air.
Authorities say the blaze erupted at a plant which distributes vape products and other items in Michigan's Clinton Township. Debris projected into the air, traveling as far as a mile away. As canisters became projectiles, residents were asked to avoid the area, stay inside, and close windows.
I want any people standing around videotaping in their cars that are anywhere near the station cleared out immediately.
Neighbors describe hearing a loud bang, which sounded like fireworks shaking the ground. Social media posts showing images of huge plumes of fire and smoke billowing from the site. Clinton Township Police releasing a statement saying, quote, upon arrival, officers observed exploding materials flying in all directions from the building. Police also writing on Facebook, please, please, please stay inside.
Bigger concern right now is obviously they're taming the fire, but now what's going on with that air quality.
Emergency crews working to put out the blaze as residents waited for the flames to die down. Investigators say they were able to collect debris that landed as far as 2 miles away from here. The air quality and water is safe, but there is a warning for residents. If they see any of those canisters, do not pick them up because those canisters could contain gas, which could explode. Back to you.
All right, Adrian, thank you.
Time now for our weekly medical checkup. We're taking a closer look at just how much exercise you need to lower your risk of stroke.
Plus, more screen time could be impacting how your toddler communicates. We've got tips for managing how much time your toddler should be spending on the iPad.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us now to break down these headlines and more. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. So what more can you tell us about how exercise reduces the risk for stroke? How are they connected?
Yeah, Joe, Savannah, we have always known that some physical activity is better than no physical activity. And now we've got what's called a meta-analysis. This is what's considered a study of studies. They took about 15 studies that met their criteria to try to look at self-reported and sometimes monitored levels of physical activity and associate it with levels or risk reduction of stroke. And here's the punchline. Some physical activity is truly better than none. And this shows that even lower levels of physical activity, so it doesn't have to be high intensity aerobics or high intensity running or biking, although if that's your sport of choice, that's great. But even kind of brisk walks and doing things where you get your heart rate just a little higher was likely to reduce stroke compared to doing nothing at all. And this is following people up for many years so that they could at least try to see if that protective effect lasted even out of that time period when people were reporting the risk. So this is, I think, important for a couple of reasons, but the doctor's orders here are to not just be a spectator in your own life, to try to make movement easier. And you don't need to overthink it. We talk about this a lot also. Here are some little tips that I've personally done. It actually works. When you're parking at a grocery store or when you come and roll up to the mall, look for that space that's farthest away. Might seem kind of painful, but it adds in sometimes 1,000 steps or even more, depending on where you park. And then if you're on a metro stop, a bus stop, you're commuting to work, take a step earlier and get off and take that stop and walk to wherever you're trying to go. Or if you're meeting a friend, try to just get off a couple of bus stops earlier and take a walk, especially now that it's warming up around the country. And then pushing away from the desk. I'm guilty of this myself because with patients, I'm in front of a computer and sitting all the time. So push that thing away and walk outside. Studies show that if you go outside even for 10 seconds, you are more likely to take more steps that day.
Wow. Oh, 10
yeah,
seconds. That's all it takes. All right. Dr. Patel, we've got another reason to put screens down, and this has to do with our little ones. Research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics found this could be impacting your toddler's speech. What is the impact here, and what is the time? What is the age? How long? Tell us all the details on when a screen's safe.
Yeah, Savannah. So the general rule of thumb, I'm going to go ahead and kind of preempt like when a screen is safe. Under the age of 2, there really is a standard recommendation for no screen time. But listen, I've been there. We've all been there as parents where you have children, and especially during COVID, they had a lot more screen time. So this was an Australian study. They took 220 families and looked at children between the ages, toddlers, really, 12 months to 36 months. So still in that time period, Savannah, where the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no screen time or severely limiting screen time. And here's what's really startling. We know that screen time was bad for a reason, but we hadn't really had a study that kind of correlated the effect. And I think this is what listeners and viewers need to understand, that for every minute of screen time, an additional minute of screen time that a 12 to 36-month-old had, and this effect got worse as they got older, they actually lost some of their speech, and they had fewer adult words that they were using. They spoke fewer vocalizations. So, you know, just being able to kind of say a full sentence and some of the sounds in a full sentence. As you added in screen time, you had the less ability to do that. And then what's, I think, really troubling, Savannah, is that they engaged in fewer conversations. So the doctor's orders here: have a plan, and then know your 3 M's. Manage your child's screen time, model your screen time yourself. That's me, that's us as adults. And then manage a meaningful interaction, meaning talk about any time you use the screen, what they're looking at. So you engage in that content with them with meaningful conversation.
That modeling thing is so important.
All of it's important.
It is.
Exactly.
I'm guilty of it too, constantly. So no judgment here, but it does matter.
That's a good point. All right, let's talk about exercise one more time for all the gym goers out there. A new study from the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology says wearing makeup while exercising can have some negative effects on your skin. I guess that's not maybe super surprising, but what's the research telling us?
Not super surprising. Yeah, so listen, I wish I could have been in one of these research studies. 43 college students, and they split them apart and took half of their face and put foundation that kind of covered half of their face and then had half of their face empty. So I can wipe off half of my face and go work out after this and see if it's really true. And here's really kind of I don't think it's shocking, but I think we haven't really had data to correlate and say that wearing makeup is probably not great, but especially if you have dry skin. If you have dry skin, they found that you had less moisture, you actually had less activity in your pores, and it might sound counterintuitive, but the pores were not as large in people who had makeup. That's a good thing when you're wearing makeup and you need to be on camera and in front of other people, but when you're working out, you really need those pores to enlarge, you need that sweat. The doctor's orders here are pretty simple, that your skin needs to sweat too, and that sometimes less is more, especially when it comes to makeup and working out.
Yeah, it's probably true generally.
No kidding.
Probably true generally, yes.
Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Coming up, late fee relief. Credit card users with overdue bills about to get a much-needed break.
Up next here in Morning News Now, we're going to break down the new plan in place to try and cut back on penalties, what that could mean for your next bill. We'll be right back.
We are back with a new plan that could help consumers save billions of dollars on credit card charges.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is capping credit card late fees at $8. Right now, credit card companies can charge as much as $30 for a first late payment. The agency says cutting fees will save consumers $10 billion.
Caleb Silver, editor-in-chief at Investopedia, joins us now. Hi, Caleb. Look at that fancy background. He's in London. We miss you over here. All right, tell us what this new rule means for consumers and who, those who might be making that late payment. What's it going to mean for them?
Well, it means lower fees, and the credit card companies have been getting away with what the Biden administration and the CFPB calls junk fees for years through a loophole in the Card Act from 2009 that limited the amount that credit card companies could charge only if they charged $25 on the first late fee and then up to $35 or even $41 for subsequent fees adjusted for inflation. So if fees go all the way down to $8 for late payers, especially for the credit card issuers with 1 million or more customers, that's a very big deal. That's a big savings. The Biden administration saying it's going to save households about $220 per year. That's a full trip to the grocery store for many.
So clearly there are,
When does this take effect? Was just my next question.
Yeah, mid-May. So they passed the rule yesterday. It's going to take till mid-May. And as you can imagine, the credit card companies don't like this at all because late fees, late charges, and those higher APRs are what's been padding the profit margins for credit card companies for the past couple of years.
So clearly a lot of positives here. I guess one question I have, could there be a negative in that? Okay, $30 fee motivates a lot of people to pay their credit card bill on time. Maybe they see $8, maybe they put it off, and then all of a sudden they're not on time with their payments.
Yeah, that's the moral hazard that you got to worry about here, because if it's $8, it's easier to let that go. But it doesn't excuse the fact that you still have mounting credit card debt and then interest payments on top of that. So you still have your interest payments based on your APR or your APY for your credit card. Those are as high as 24% right now. And then the $8 fee is just in addition to that. So you still have the late charges associated with it. It's going to reduce the cost for a lot of people. You just don't want people to forget about it because it's only $8 and not $35 or $41.
Caleb, how could this measure impact the credit card companies? I mean, are we ultimately going to see them kind of stick in this money, these fees elsewhere to kind of bridge this gap of the money that they're going to be losing?
Yeah, they don't like this one bit. The American Bankers Association, which is the big lobby for banks and credit card companies, says that it's redistribution, not consumer protection. They're going to have to reduce competition in the market, increase the cost of credit, deny credit to some people because they're not going to be able to make up for those charges, and they won't be able to extend credit to people that have bad credit. They don't think this is good for consumers at all, naturally. That said, consumers have been paying a lot of fees for a long time, and the credit card companies have been doing great in terms of their profit margins.
Real quick, Caleb, just number one tip for people who are trying to manage their credit card bills right now.
Yeah, pay off that high-interest credit card debt first, because that is eating away at your future returns. You're not being able to pay yourself in the future if you're paying credit card dues month after month. Pay the high-interest stuff first and get it down.
Caleb Silver, as always, thank you very much. See you back here soon.
More financial headlines, starting with the latest from big tech on Wall Street.
CNBC's Pippa Stevens joins us with that and other money news. Hey, Pippa, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Well, Wall Street is set to open higher following yesterday's sell-off, which was fueled by losses in mega-cap tech stocks that have powered the market's boom over the past year. It was the worst day for the tech sector since the first trading day of 2024. Apple and Microsoft are dropping roughly 3%, and most of the so-called Magnificent Seven stocks, that's Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla, lost a combined $233 billion in market value. Only AI chipmaker NVIDIA ended in the green. A pair of retailers say consumers are still being cautious. Ross Stores saying the higher cost of living continues to pressure its customers, and Nordstrom says inflation-wary customers are having reservations about buying new clothes, but it expects rivals to back off the discounting that's defined the industry over the past 2 years. Earlier yesterday, Target said despite encouraging economic signs, some customers feel stretched. And Delta Airlines is hiking its checked bag fees by $5 following similar moves by other rivals. As of yesterday, the fee for a first checked bag is now $35. A second checked bag will now cost you $45. The higher fees apply to passengers on domestic flights. It's the first time Delta has raised bag fees since 2018 and follows similar moves by United, American, and JetBlue. You can avoid the fee if you have a SkyMiles American Express card, are an elite-level SkyMiles member, or are flying in first, business, or premium select class. Joe and Savannah, back on over to you.
All right, Pippa, thank you so much.
Coming up, you could call it an unwanted passenger.
That's right, an Arizona couple, look at this, got into their car and found a slithery surprise rattling around in the back seat. Hear what happened next. Stay with us. I can't do it. This is morning news.
We're back with a little nostalgia. It might not be the 90s anymore, or what Gen Z likes to call the 1900s, which is horrifying. Some of us are still kids at heart. The new kids on the block are releasing their first album in more than a decade. It's called Still Kids. That's not all. The lead single, titled Kids, is out right now. The OG boy band says the 14-track album carries their signature pop sound. Get this, it even features music from DJ Jazzy Jeff, Taylor Dane. The news also comes ahead of the new Kids' Magic Summer Tour, which kicks off in June. So Savannah, looks like we'll be moving step by step all spring and summer long. That new album drops on May 17th. I have to say, I saw the new Kids at the Hollywood Bowl a little before the pandemic, and it is truly one of the best concerts I've ever seen. It was
I don't doubt that. That's awesome. All right, thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Finally this hour, an Arizona couple caught an unlikely passenger hissing a ride, if you get what I'm saying, in their back seat. Can you take a guess what it was? Reporter Gabriela Becerra from our NBC affiliate KPNX in Phoenix has the story.
Laugh and then panic, and I lost my mind.
No warning rattled, not even a hiss.
And he turned around and he had seen a tongue kind of like flipping at him.
Milan Watt says she wouldn't have realized a rattlesnake was curled up in the back seat of her car, except her boyfriend happened to look behind him.
He's like, get out of the car. And so I freeze up because I'm like, when I get scared, I freeze.
Not knowing what to do, Watt called 911, but says she was told firefighters couldn't help since it wasn't a life-threatening emergency. Her boyfriend used a broken tree branch switch to fleeing the reptile free.
In a state where there's lots of critters and lots of things that can get into small spaces, personal spaces, to know what to do in that situation and who to call.
If you find a snake in your home or your car.
In a car, that's pretty unusual. Snakes, they're really, really good at getting just about anywhere they want to go.
There are wildlife rescues and even companies who will come to remove it 24/7.
Put it in the bucket and then, very carefully put the lid back on.
Nicholas Massimo with Snake Guru recommends people back away to a safe distance, but try to keep eyes on the snake until help arrives.
Very slow, calm movements. Try to not do anything that's really jerky and fast that can startle an animal.
They'll relocate the snake and even figure out why it might have slithered there in the first place.
Most of the time, it's there for a reason, whether that's food, water, or shelter.
A snake in Watt's car was likely a one-off chance.
We got real comfortable in that car. That snake made its home in there.
But she'll be checking under the seats every time she gets behind the wheel anytime soon.
I don't know what I would have done if I saw it while I was driving. I would have crashed the car.
Our thanks to Gabriella Becker for that story. The driver said she has learned her lesson. As you just heard there, she's going to keep checking before she drives.
At least it wasn't when she was driving. That would.
Yeah, exactly. That scars me, though. Now
you look in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
All right. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Breaking right now on Morning News Now. Out of the running. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley plans on suspending her presidential campaign later this morning. That's according to two sources familiar with her plans. That announcement expected to come on the heels of a dismal Super Tuesday showing. The former South Carolina governor only projected to win one state, Vermont. Former President Trump, on the other hand, expected to rack up another round of big primary wins from coast to coast, which means this morning NBC News is projecting the former president is now the apparent Republican nominee in the race for the White House. That is setting the stage for that long-anticipated 2020 rematch. Our Chuck Todd and Steve Kornacki are here to break down the state of play. In the Middle East, the clock is ticking down toward a critical ceasefire deadline. Observers worry conditions in Gaza could get worse if a deal is not reached before the start of Ramadan this weekend. We've got the latest on those negotiations as the White House ramps up the pressure on Israel's leadership. Plus, checkpoint of the future later in the hour, the new TSA screening process that could make the airport look more like your grocery store. But the rollout is not without some glitches. How travelers are reacting. And grilled and gouged, the social media sizzle over one popular fast food chain's recent price hikes and the viral receipt you're going to have to see to believe, reflecting a much broader trend. Good to have you with us on a busy Wednesday. We begin this hour with that breaking news. Nikki Haley set to announce she is ending her campaign for the White House.
The former UN ambassador is expected to make the announcement when she gives remarks later this morning in Charleston, South Carolina. It comes after her rival, former President Donald Trump, dominated Super Tuesday, as Joe just laid out. Trump won every contest yesterday except for Vermont, which gave Haley only her second win of the primary season. That means Trump is now the apparent GOP nominee, setting up a likely rematch against President Biden in the fall. Last night, Trump held a victory party at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. NBC's Garrett Hake has a recap of the big night.
Nikki Haley's decision to suspend her campaign effectively ends the Republican primary, but it doesn't heal the rifts within the GOP. Haley with no plans to immediately endorse her former boss, who, after his big Super Tuesday night last night, can now turn his attention to a general election rematch with President Biden.
We'll make our voices loud.
This morning, Nikki Haley suspending her campaign, leaving Donald Trump the only candidate in the GOP presidential field, heading towards a rematch with President Biden. Haley set to end her bid this morning, according to a source with direct knowledge of the decision. But NBC News learning Trump's former UN ambassador will not endorse the former president this morning. In the end, the Republican electorate overwhelmingly uniting behind Trump.
They call it Super Tuesday for a reason.
Racking up primary wins across the country, from California to Maine. The former president made no mention of his last remaining rival, Nikki Haley, even when pressed.
President Trump, any message for Nikki Haley? Any message for Nikki Haley?
instead urging the GOP to come together ahead of his potential rematch with President Biden this fall.
We have a great Republican Party with tremendous talent, and we want to have unity, and we're going to have unity.
Mr. Trump's victory is fueled by overwhelming support from the Republican base. Some Haley supporters say they're prepared to vote for President Biden in a rematch with Mr. Trump.
If he doesn't accept the outcome of the last election in our process of justice and law, then he can't be the head of it.
Mr. Biden cruising to victory yesterday, but ahead of a general election that could be decided by very small margins, facing some angry Democrats, including in Minnesota, where 19% voted uncommitted, part of a campaign protesting Biden's handling of the Gaza war. Biden also reaching out to anti-Trump voters overnight, saying in a statement about the results, he is driven by grievance and grift, focused on his own revenge and retribution, not the American people. From Super Tuesday to State of the Union Thursday. If last night was Donald Trump's general election kickoff, look for President Biden to outline the choice before voters even more starkly tomorrow night in his State of the Union address, now that his opponent for November is known.
All right, Garrett, thank you.
We're joined now in studio by NBC News chief political analyst Chuck Todd. Chuck, good to have you with us after a late night last night.
Absolutely.
First of all, just reaction to Nikki Haley. We're expecting her to drop out later this morning, and any other big takeaways?
No, I mean, look, and how, you know, according to sources we've all contacted here, how she's going to exit is what I would expect, which is don't endorse immediately. Maybe she doesn't ever. Maybe she says she'll vote for the Republican nominee, or maybe, you know, whatever it is. I don't think she just can go right back into Trump world to have any credibility as if she wants her own future, if she thinks there's a
good point,
a future, especially, but you know, she only has a future if Trump loses, right? You know, so she is sort of invested, I think, in Trump losing, because then, hey, she's the I told you so Republican, right? She's the one that said, I told you he couldn't win the general election. So it'll be an awkward dance and to see what she's doing. But look, the other thing that I think we all ought to be looking at in these Republican primaries is I'm not convinced these Haley voters voted for Trump in 2020. These are, I think, very motivated anti-Trump voters. And so if you're the Biden campaign, I think you don't look at them as new voters, but at least you know, okay, you know, those folks are showing up. Because if you showed up in a primary that you knew Trump was going to win anyway, you're showing up in the general to vote against him again.
That's an interesting point. So save for Nikki, let's put a pin in her for this morning. Now that we have this apparent nominee, do you see more of the party sort of coalescing behind the former president quickly?
You've already kind of seen it, right? You know, I mean, at this point, what is it? It's really just Nikki Haley and Mitch McConnell, right? If you were to think about the people that kind of haven't endorsed, I think there'll be a coalescing. But look, this what's going to be interesting is that the next 6 weeks, it's Joe Biden that has a real advantage. He's a huge financial advantage. Trump is cash poor, both. He's got personal, legal, financial issues, but the campaign has financial issues. So Trump's got to go on a fundraising spree. Right? He's got to. This is not, you know, this is very normal. A nominee's had to spend all this money. He's got to catch up. Biden's got an opportunity to really press his financial advantage, go up in the air, try to define Trump. What I'm going to be interested in, we're going to learn is, what are the pain points that they think, you know, every negative about Trump's well known, but what do they think they have to repeat? What do they think is necessary to repeat or re-educate people that may have memory hold? And I think that's what I'm looking at over the next 6 weeks.
President Biden did not have the stiff competition, or any competition really. So what is the takeaway from his performance last night now looking?
Well, I think we ought to put to bed, you know, the people that are hand-wringing about Joe Biden are, you know, people that used to work for Barack Obama or people that work in Washington, D.C., because the voters, they've had plenty of if Democratic voters didn't want Joe Biden as their nominee, they had plenty of opportunity to say, hey, we don't think not Biden. But that is not what happened. Joe Biden, I think, has had frankly, he's had a much stronger primary performance than I expected. Because when you do look at the polls and you do see his support is soft and his base is, but there is still a strong anti-Trump coalition out there. And I think it should put to rest. Democrats they may wish they had a younger nominee, but I think you see that they're accepting this.
All right, Chuck, stay tuned. Okay. Sit there, because we're going to ask you a few more questions in a moment.
That's right. But first, we do want to turn to NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki. He is, of course, at the big board. Steve, good morning. So just walk us through Trump's victory last night and how he performed against expectations.
Yeah, look, I think if your expectations were kind of based on the early primaries that we saw in New Hampshire, South Carolina, New Hampshire, where Haley got 43% of the vote, South Carolina, her home state, where she got 40% of the vote. If those are your expectations in terms of the non-Trump vote yesterday, then Trump certainly exceeded them, because take a look here, a couple examples. We'll just start with Virginia, because Virginia, just demographically, those big suburbs right outside Washington, D.C., the big suburbs right around Richmond, there's a lot of areas, there's a lot of demographics in Virginia that would be very, very favorable to Nikki Haley, just based on where she was performing well in South Carolina and in New Hampshire. But again, only 35% of the vote for her here in Virginia. And the demographic profile of the state was actually more friendly to her than in South Carolina and in New Hampshire. So to only get 35% here, yeah, I think that shows some of that energy that was behind her early in those contests, those standalone contests, seems to have dissipated last night. Look at North Carolina, too. There was no expectation Haley was going to win North Carolina. But again, around the triangle, the Charlotte metro area, there were a lot of areas here where on paper Haley could have made some noise, at least in the state. Instead, she loses it by more than 50 points. I think Texas is another one here. Look at the margin in Texas, a 60-point Donald Trump win in Texas. And again, it wasn't that Nikki Haley had a chance to win this state, but one thing we were looking at, Texas has 38 congressional districts around the state. They give out delegates by congressional district. There were districts in the metro areas of the state, around Houston, the Metroplex, around Austin. There were, again, on paper, demographically, you looked at them and you said, hey, if Haley was getting 40% in New Hampshire, 43 in New Hampshire, 40 in South Carolina, she can maybe win those districts. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, look at Travis County. This is one of the most liberal counties in the state of Texas, where Austin is. And even there, Trump is beating Haley by 24 points. So there was an energy, I think, that was behind her a little bit in those early contests that was boosting those numbers. Does this reflect Republicans who were open to her, just concluding in the last few weeks, all right, Trump's got it, time to get on board? Does this reflect that some of these Democrats and independents coming into these Republican primaries in other states just kind of were done with that? I think those are some of the factors that might have been in play here.
So, Steve, what does Super Tuesday tell us about where Trump is vulnerable, especially when it comes to a general election?
Yeah, to be honest, Super Tuesday, I mean, he's vulnerable in Vermont, but we know he's not going to win Vermont in November. The swing, the only real potential swing state here, I think you saw last night, was North Carolina. Now, North Carolina, it was a Trump state by about 80,000 votes in 2020. That was down a bit from 2016. But this is still probably a bit of a reach for Democrats if they're going to try to make a run for North Carolina. It's hard to look at these results. Like I said, there are areas here you would have looked at, particularly around Charlotte. Look, right outside of Charlotte, Union County here. This is a big bedroom county. It's Republican, but again, it's suburban in nature. And you would have thought, hey, this is where Haley might be making this is a good number for Trump in Union County relative to what we had been seeing. So I don't think you see it on this map, but we do know from 9 years, Trump's problem is in the suburbs.
All right, Steve Kornacki, as always, we appreciate you. Great to talk to you on this Super Wednesday, as Joe called it.
Exactly. Chuck, let's bring you back in here. You mentioned this 6 weeks thing. The next 6 weeks is critical. You wrote a piece about it for NBCNews.com. Right. Is it just about the money? What else could we see? I mean, we've got 8 full months here. What could we see happen in just the next few weeks?
Well, I do think because there are a few things that are going to be happening here for Biden that are both opportunities and potential risks, right? The State of the Union is both, to be frank, right? There's performance matters here. Style points matter. People hate hearing that sometimes, but in this case, that people are looking, can he perform? It may be unfair, but that's what we ask of our presidents now. That's what television did. We expect performers in that thing. So he's got to perform. But look, we saw him do it a year ago, and so it's not as if this isn't in his wheelhouse. You've got the potential testimony of the special counsel, Mr. Hur. What does he say? The release of that transcript. These are going to be uncomfortable moments. But I think what we're going to find out is, okay, because I do think the biggest challenge both Trump and Biden have is, what's the day after look like? Can you credibly make the case that you're going to bring this country together? Are you going to be able to knit everything back together? Biden really had that message 4 years ago. I think it's a harder message as the incumbent to be able to make here, but I think that's something I want to see. What's his I'm bringing the country together message. He's going to have an anti-Trump message that's pretty strong. We're already aware of those talking points. But what's that one? Because I think there's that small slice of voter, but it's a decisive slice of voter that wants to hear that.
Chuck Todd, great to have you here on
Thank
Some
you.
of This. Yeah. Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's great to be here.
Good to see you.
Lawyers for Trump are seeking a new trial in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. Attorneys for the former president filed a motion in a New York federal court yesterday. They're arguing it was prejudicial for the court to exclude a part of Trump's testimony from the record about his state of mind when he made disparaging comments about Carroll. Last month, a jury found Trump must pay Carroll more than $83 million in damages for defaming her. So far, her attorneys have declined to comment on Tuesday's filing.
We're also following that massive and deadly explosion that rocked a distribution facility just outside of Detroit Monday night. Investigators are now working to figure out exactly what caused the blast that led to the death of a teenager and one injured firefighter. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus joins us with more. Hi, Adrian. Good morning.
Hey there, good morning to you. Daylight is providing some assistance. All that's left here is the sign that once identified the building that was destroyed in that fire. Police say they have questioned employees who were inside but managed to escape. Investigators want to know what they heard and what they saw. This morning, fire investigators are expected to return to the scene, and there are some big key questions. This morning, investigators are trying to determine what started first, the fire or explosion. The building, shared by a smoke shop named Goo and Select Distributors, a company that supplies vape products. Authorities say it was supposed to be a retail operation. Instead, inside a back room was a pallet of nitrous oxide along with lighter fluid. They also say the business had just received a semi-load of butane canisters. Half remained.
They were not allowed to have these canisters.
And that's not all.
There was also over 100,000 vape pens that obviously have the lithium batteries that are inside of those.
Residents in Clinton Township thought they were under attack.
I didn't know if we were at war.
The blast scattered debris as far as 2 miles away.
We got multiple explosions and a lot of debris in the air.
Canisters containing butane, nitrous oxide, and other gas launched into the sky. One firefighter injured when shrapnel broke the windshield of his vehicle. A 19-year-old male away from the building died from a head injury.
The person was essentially about a quarter mile down the road here and did suffer injury from one of these flying canisters.
The business owners are cooperating with authorities but have not responded to calls from NBC News. Fire Chief Duncan has seen a lot, but this is a first.
I've never seen anything like this in my 25 years.
And more than 24 hours later, there are still hot spots burning. We've seen flames overnight and even this morning. Meanwhile, a big warning for residents here. Those canisters that were flying through the air, we know they landed and scattered up to 2 miles away. If anyone sees those canisters in their yard or on the sidewalk, do not pick them up. Investigators say they could still explode. Savannah?
All right, important information. Adrian, thank you.
In Cairo this morning, efforts are intensifying to reach a ceasefire agreement in Gaza before the start of Ramadan after talks ended yesterday without a breakthrough. The 6-week ceasefire deal being discussed would see the release of some Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners and an increase in aid to Gaza's starving population.
Joining us now with more on this is Gershon Baskin. He's the Middle East Director of the International Communities Organization. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning. So first, just what's your assessment of where we are at with those ceasefire hostage talks and just how important it is to get a deal done soon?
It's extremely important to get a deal soon, and I wish I could be optimistic, but I'm not. Hamas just recently, in the last half hour, published on one of their Telegram pages their demands from Israel, which are way beyond what the Netanyahu government can expect to agree to, including a list of names of the biggest murderers of Israelis who are in prison to be released in the first part of the deal. They're demanding the Israeli commitment to end the war and to withdraw from Gaza, where talks in the last days had actually talked about a 6-week ceasefire without an Israeli obligation to end the war, which could have enabled an agreement. But it seems that Hamas is backtracking, and it's not completely clear why they're doing this. They need a ceasefire as much as Israel does, even more than Israel does, and Ramadan is 4 days away.
So you wrote a column yesterday for the Times of Israel in which you outline a possible diplomatic way of ending the war. In part, you say the United States and others should immediately recognize a Palestinian state and remove Israel's veto. How hard would that be in this climate right now? And explain to us why that is such an important step in your mind.
Israel can defeat Hamas militarily and prevent Hamas from governing the Gaza Strip. But Israel cannot defeat the idea of Hamas, which grows in strength as the more that Israel hits the Gaza Strip and kills Palestinians. The longer the Israeli army remains in Gaza, the more strength insurgents will have against the Israeli army. The counter to Hamas is freedom and liberation and dignity for the Palestinian people in exchange for Israeli security. There are 139 countries that have recognized the state of Palestine, about 160 countries that have recognized the state of Israel. We need all 193 member states of the United Nations to recognize both states in order to demonstrate to the Palestinian people and to the Israeli people that the international community is serious about peace. We've had a 30-year peace process calling for a two-state solution where most countries of the OECD, the big countries, including the United States, have only recognized Israel. We need to make Palestine real for Palestinians, and we need to give assurances to Israel that they will have security.
Gershon, over the past few days, we have seen a shift in tone from the Biden administration towards Israel. We had Vice President Kamala Harris criticizing Israel over what is now this total humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. And we're also seeing pressure being exerted by U.S. officials specifically to let more aid in as we keep seeing that be stopped at the border. What do you think this tells us about the state of U.S.-Israeli relations?
I think things are tough now. We're facing the possibility of a land action on the last 20% of the Gaza Strip, where about 1.5 million Palestinians in Gaza are crowded in, living in tent cities, some of the people living out in the street without homes, a lot of death of innocent non-combatants, women and children, have taken place over the last 5 months of this war. We still have 134 Israeli hostages being held by Hamas. More than half of them are believed to be dead. I think the United States is sending a very clear message that this war needs to come to an end. We need a ceasefire now. Ramadan is a very sensitive month throughout the region, and I think the United States is calling the shots right. We need to put pressure on both sides in order to get a ceasefire now. And what I suggested in my article is that perhaps a 6-week cooling off period can enable the mediators, the United States and others, to come up with a diplomatic end to this war so we don't need to continue fighting it.
Gershon Baskin, thanks so much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, let's turn to weather now, and you got to grab those rain boots again. We are keeping an eye on some storms drenching the east.
Angie Lastman is here with a look ahead. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. The umbrella, the rain boots, you got to have it all on tap here through the day today. We're going to see plenty of rain across the east. We've got a couple of things happening. We've got some moisture from the south that's going to combine with some moisture that's kind of hanging out over portions of the Ohio Valley. That is leaving us with just a whole lot of rain that we're going to have to deal with over the next day or so. As we look at your satellite and radar, some heavy rain moving out of places like Atlanta. It's been quite a soggy morning for folks there. We've already picked up a couple of inches of rain. We've got some rain along the Carolina coast, too. And this is going to be something we see continue to lift to the north through the day today. We do have concerns for flash flooding, and we've got already these flood alerts that are up extending across portions of New Jersey, up into portions of Massachusetts. 30 million people, including those in New York, Boston, Hartford, are under these flood alerts at this time, and likely we'll see those continue into early tomorrow morning. As far as the timing is concerned, I think lunch hour, we're talking about places like Philadelphia seeing the heaviest of the rain. New York, it's going to be that afternoon commute all the way into early tomorrow morning that we'll see consistently heavy rainfall. Places like Boston, even into tomorrow, you're going to see that rain sticking with us. It'll be moderate to heavy before it moves out of the picture as we get into tomorrow. Maybe some lingering showers into the early parts of the day tomorrow, but that's about it. Now, moving to the West Coast, remember all of that snow that we picked up last last week? Well, before the storm system, we were running well below normal for snowpack across the Sierra range. That has all changed. We're well above normal now in some spots. The Northern Sierra, 112% snowpack. Guys, this is great news. Of course, we talked about it last week. It makes a big difference for drought conditions and all that kind of stuff as we get into those warmer months. So we're happy to see that. They're picking up just a little extra snow over the next couple of days, too.
Skiers also.
Happy about that for sure.
There you go. Last a little longer.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks.
Much more to come on this busy Wednesday edition of Morning News Now, including the groundbreaking union vote that could reshape the future of college basketball.
But first, check yourself. Could your next trip through airport security look more like a trip to the grocery store? Our Tom Costello has more on the TSA's rollout of self-checkpoints. Not without speed bumps, though. Stick around. That's next.
We're back now with a sneak peek at what could be the TSA checkpoint of the future. If you're the kind of traveler who knows the routine and wants to get through security quickly, this could be for you. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello is at George Bush International Airport in Houston. Joins us with more. Tom, sounds kind of like maybe the grocery store experience here.
That's exactly what TSA is thinking, right? You know how to check your bananas and your chicken. Could you check yourself at a TSA checkpoint? So they're testing this in Las Vegas. And as you suggested, it really is for the seasoned traveler right now who has pre-check. And just be aware that as they try the system out, it has been a little glitchy. It's been 23 years since TSA was stood up. Today, screening 2.5 million people every day at 440 airports nationwide. Every carry-on, every suitcase, every passenger screened and cleared. But now the TSA is testing what could be a faster checkpoint of the future.
It was great. Quick. No hassle.
A self-checkpoint. Much like self-grocery checkouts, almost the entire screening process is self-guided. More automated, allowing TSA officers to keep eyes on security. What did you think?
I liked it. I think it's a lot easier.
But it's not gone without hiccups. Gloria from New York was rushing to catch a flight.
It took me 4 or 5 minutes to get through.
What was the hang-up?
Supposedly my watch, my hair clip, and my jacket.
Starting today, a 6-month trial run in Las Vegas, reserved for pre-check flyers only who know the routine. Some of this will be familiar to regular travelers. Come up to the checkpoint, take your carry-on, put it in the bin. If you've got any questions, simply ask the TSA officer on demand.
Hi there, how may I help you today?
TSA officers will dial in remotely.
Place everything in the bin. Yes, and when you're all done, go ahead and slide your items forward.
Slide your bin onto the rollers, then walk right into the full-body scanner. And this is what's new. You come in and you put your arms down to the side, and it's going to look for anything that shouldn't be there. And it's telling me I got to come back out. I have a microphone, of course, that it's detected. I've got the transmitter on my belt, and something a lot of people forget, my cell phone. Bags that require rescreening cycle back automatically. After testing the checkpoint, the TSA will decide whether any of it can be rolled out nationally. Are you expecting too much of passengers to expect that they can do this on their own?
We don't know. We've never tried this before. This is something that is a first here.
TSA Chief David Pekoski. Don't expect this to be widely rolled out at every airport and every checkpoint.
No, I don't think so. Part of what we're trying to do here is to figure out, hey, what works? What facilitates movement of people, while at the same time making sure that we can provide the security we provide.
Our future is getting fast, and we have to be fast.
Whether the self-checkout is faster.
Somebody's got to be the guinea pig, right?
Might require working out the kinks. Would you recommend this?
No, probably not.
Yeah, she had to go back through 5 times because her bag was going off in the alarm. Listen, this is only being tested at the Las Vegas airport itself. And the reason for that is they've got the space. They've got a whole section below the regular checkpoint, 1 floor down, with a huge open space. So they're using that as the checkpoint of the future. And by the way, Joe, TSA just came out and said if you're traveling for spring break, they're going to have a lot of company, record crowds, up 6% over last year's record crowds. Back to you.
All right, Tom Costello, thank you so much.
For more on this new self-service security, let's bring in our friend, travel expert, Mark Elwood. Mark, good morning. So,
good morning.
First, just your reaction to this. How big of a difference does it make? It doesn't look all that different, actually.
I think it's less a leap forward than a little shimmy. Yeah. Maybe what you're basically doing. I think the way to think of this is, you know, we're used to the airports, we put our arms up. You're not going to have to put your arms up now. That's really the big difference. And you don't have to talk to a person unless something goes wrong. It is not the magic bullet for TSA screening. It's a fun gimmick. Isn't it great to talk about it?
It's not, as Tom mentioned, it's for the seasoned traveler. We're not going to see it at every airport. But could this still have an impact on the average flyer at all?
I think it will, because, look, if you've walked into JFK and many of the big hub airports recently, there are so many lines at security. You're like, do I go to Clear? Do I go to Digital ID? This will separate us. Digital ID is amazing, very fast, rolling out, basically using your face. But I assume this will be a paid service, so it'll be something else you can pay a little extra for another line.
Is this something that you really see? Should it be rolled out broadly? Should it, you know, work its glitches out? That has a positive impact on a bigger airport versus like a smaller one? I don't know that you'd need this.
You don't need this as a small. This is very much designed for the JFKs, the LAXs of the world, where people are not just originating there, but transiting. This is a big way of trafficking lots of people.
What are we seeing in other countries when it comes to something like this, or anything else to just try and make the process more efficient?
Look, the US is behind the rest of the world, partly because we're so big and rolling technology out is a bigger undertaking. We've got some great TSA saving. You can save your line at the Seattle airport. You can book a slot. I think that's a great thing. What I would say, the thing we need is to get rid of that pesky liquids rule. You know how you have to decant everything and it's in a little bag? In the UK, they were supposed to introduce screening systems this summer that would mean you could take full-size bottles. They've pushed it back, but it will mean a flight coming from the UK and the Republic of Ireland, you can bring a bottle of wine on and not worry at all.
Wow, so it's not even just having to, you know, pull out your little minis or anything like that. It's just you can fully take a full-size liquid.
It's like it used to be. 2006, they brought in that rule because of the terrorism issues. They're working on these screeners, which essentially can detect much more detail in the liquid in your bag. So that means you could bring on a nice big bottle of wine or a bottle of shampoo.
All right.
Whatever you prefer.
There you go.
Just those two things.
I've lost so many bottles of sunscreen.
Sunscreen is the thing.
So many bottles of sunscreen. I left
Hairspray.
it in the carry-on.
That was a good brand. All right, Mark Elwood, thank you very much. Always good to see you.
International headlines now. Ukraine's military says it sunk another Russian warship.
NBC international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us now. Claudio, good morning.
Joe Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. On Tuesday, Ukraine's military claimed they have sunk yet another Russian ship in the Black Sea using, once again, drones. Now, Ukraine's defense intelligence said that maritime drones struck and sunk the 1,300-ton patrol ship near the strait that separates occupied Crimea from the coast of southwest Russia. Ukraine says the Russian ship sustained damage to the stern, starboard and port side, sparking a fire aboard before it sunk. This is the latest in a string of naval defeats for Moscow's Black Sea Fleet. Let's now go to Peru, where Prime Minister Alberto Otarola resigned over allegations he helped a young woman obtain 2 lucrative government contracts. The scandal broke out last week after a Peruvian TV program aired audio clips of conversations from back to 2021 between the Prime Minister and the 25-year-old woman. In the audio clips, Mr. Otarola can be heard declaring his love for the woman and asking her to send him her CV. A couple of years later, the woman was awarded 2 contracts to work in the Defense Ministry worth about $25,000. A formal investigation has been launched into the allegations. And let's end this tour of the world in Japan, where the iconic Mount Fuji is introducing new regulations for climbers following concerns about overcrowding. Officials at the World Heritage Fuji Division said they will impose a daily limit of 4,000 climbers and start charging a fee of $13 per climber. In addition, there will be new guides that will make sure climbers don't violate mountain etiquette, such as sleeping by the side of the trail, starting a fire, or wearing the wrong clothing, like sandals. Now, you think that you don't need guides to tell you not to wear sandals before you climb a mountain, but there you go.
Wow.
Back to you guys.
So true. A lot of people who are doing that. Wow,
it's
those
busy
pictures
there.
are kind of amazing, yeah.
All right, Claudia, thank you.
Thanks so much. Coming up, the weight loss drug craze is taking a bit of a dark turn this morning.
Why some plus-size influencers are now catching some flack online for their public relationships with the medications. That's next. Stay with us. We're back now with a look at some controversy surrounding weight loss drugs. With the demand for the popular medication skyrocketing, many companies have been teaming up with influencers to try and sell their products.
Not everyone, though, is on board with this new strategy, with some saying it's an insult to the body positivity movement. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us with more. Hey, Steph, good morning.
Hey, Savannah and Joe, good morning to you guys. All over social media, you'll see plus-size influencers getting paid to promote different weight loss medications. Many of them credit the drugs for helping them reclaim their health and feel better in their bodies. But for others in the community, these new partnerships are a major red flag that they say threaten what used to be a safe space for body acceptance.
Discover the Ozempic Trizone.
As demand for popular weight loss drugs continues to skyrocket, many medical wellness companies are now looking for new ways to market the popular drugs to possible clients, including working with plus-sized influencers on social media.
Get ready with me while I start year 2 of a GLP-1, aka a weight loss injectable, aka semaglutide.
Kiki Monique is an influencer partner with Weight Watchers, who's been documenting her health journey with her nearly 140,000 followers on Instagram.
Now that they've developed a GLP-1 program designed to work with my medication, I finally have the chance to successfully combat the disease of obesity.
Kiki had already been taking Wegovy through her doctor for more than a year before her paid partnership and says she's lost 65 pounds on the medication.
To me, this isn't about becoming a certain size. It's about living my best life and being as healthy as possible.
But not everyone's on board.
If I get another email from a medical wellness company offering me money, offering me influencer programs to shoot myself up with drugs to lose weight, I'm going to throw my computer.
The Washington Post recently reported that the industry-wide marketing push is now sparking backlash about body positivity. Jessie Diaz Herrera is a certified fitness instructor with 30,000 followers on Instagram.
To the side!
She's received multiple offers, even in the last few weeks, from wellness companies asking her to promote weight loss injections like semaglutide.
To have diet culture knocking on my door and saying, hey, like, invite us in and tell everyone about it is so counterintuitive to what I stand for.
Experts say influencer marketing can be an incredible tool for companies looking to cash in. Novo Nordisk, which makes drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy, was recently valued at more than $500 billion. In a statement to NBC News, the drug maker says that it does not currently work with any influencers to share their experience taking Wegovy or Ozempic through their personal social media channels, and points out the drugs are only FDA approved to treat obesity and diabetes. Still, other smaller companies like medical spas will reach out, asking influencers to promote the same type of drug sold through their business.
Plus size space, influencer marketing is so important.
Cara Richardson Whiteley is CEO of the Gorgeous Agency, which advises brands about body inclusivity.
When you start to see your community embracing weight loss drugs, it feels like an affront to all of the work that you've done to get to the positive space that you're in.
Despite some of the stigma that may exist, others are still welcoming paid partnerships.
I know I'm going to get so much hate for this video because I'm going to talk about my love for weight loss medications.
Kiki says for all the hate messages she's received, she gets 10 times more love.
There are people who DM me every single day that I talk about it saying, thank you. Now I don't feel so scared and ashamed.
Weight Watchers tells us their influencer partnerships help build connections in the often misunderstood and what they call stigmatized space of medically assisted weight loss. Meanwhile, drug maker Novo Nordisk says it's committed to the responsible use of its medicines. There's now so many counterfeit options out there that the company actually has a website, semaglutide.com, that helps people understand what's real and what's fake that's out there. And guys, the bottom line is consult your healthcare professional before you take any of these. particularly if you're uncertain about the source.
Important advice there. All right, Stephanie,
Really
thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, the men's basketball team at Dartmouth College has overwhelmingly voted to unionize after a federal labor board ruled that the players could be considered employees of the university. The historic decision could have far-reaching consequences for student-athlete benefits across the country. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has been following this story, joins us from Florida with more. Hi, Sam. Good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Good morning. Yeah, this could absolutely tilt the landscape for student athletes if more teams follow in the footstep of the Dartmouth players. Now, as we look at the situation, students right now, we're talking about being part of a union negotiating, Savannah, things like salary, health insurance, benefits with the universities. The entire scope of the economics of college sports as we know it could be changing before our eyes. It's the dawn of a new day at Dartmouth. After the men's basketball team voted 13-2 to become part of a union, with the National Labor Relations Board ruling last month the student athletes can be considered employees.
Like our manager gets paid and has been getting paid for 3 years, and none of us have seen a penny.
Right before the vote, two Dartmouth players telling NBC's Maura Barrett that the prospect of negotiating salary and health insurance is a game changer.
I've gotten injured here a couple times and had to pay for those like out of pocket. I know a lot of other people on the team have gone through the same thing, and that can be a real burden.
It's all about athlete empowerment.
Darren Heitner teaches courses in sports law and NIL, or name, image, and likeness, and says unlike the NIL shift, which has allowed athletes like Caleb Williams, Bronny James, and the Cavender twins to make huge sums of money through endorsements, collective bargaining has the potential to lift all athletes.
You could have an athlete who earns absolutely no money in NIL, but if that same athlete is considered an employee of his or her university, the university can't get around negotiating a salary for that athlete.
In 2015, Northwestern University football players also voted to unionize, only for that status to be overturned on appeal. And Dartmouth College is appealing, saying the school works productively with 5 unions, but athletic pursuit is part of the educational experience. Classifying these students as employees simply because they play basketball is as unprecedented as it is inaccurate. The AFL-CIO celebrating the vote, posting on X, NCAA athletes make billions in profits for the universities, and they deserve a seat at the table. This is the start of a new chapter in collegiate athletics. Still, the legal process could take months or years to complete. And Savannah, it does make sense to ask, what is the difference between what happened with Northwestern a decade ago and this effort? We're both talking about private schools here, but Northwestern is in the Big Ten. It's filled with public institutions that are beholden to state labor laws. Savannah, there's a lot of discrepancies there, whereas Dartmouth is in the Ivy League. It's all private schools falling under federal law. Sports and legal experts say that this would be much cleaner to unionize from that perspective. Back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you so much.
Coming up, grilled and gouged.
After the break, price hikes at yet another popular fast food chain have some customers fired up this morning. The burger backlash online in the wake of those rising drive-through prices. That's next on Morning News Now. We are back with some money news, starting with new numbers out this morning on America's job market.
CNBC's Pippa Stevens joins us with that and other financial headlines. Pippa, good morning.
Good morning. So we just got a fresh snapshot on the U.S. economy and labor market. The ADP employment report tracks hiring in the private sector, showing 140,000 jobs were added in February, which was short of the 150,000 Dow Jones estimate. Leisure and hospitality led with 41,000 new jobs, with construction, trade, transportation, and utilities following. Meantime, OpenAI is responding to a lawsuit filed last week by co-founder Elon Musk. The maker of ChatGPT says at one point, Musk, who left the board in 2018, wanted absolute control of OpenAI by merging it with Tesla. Musk alleges OpenAI abandoned its original nonprofit mission he helped fund, claiming it's now focused on making money and backed by Microsoft instead of benefiting humanity, and that is a breach of contract. OpenAI says it will move to dismiss Musk's claims. And Waze is rolling out several new features, including an alert for first responders that are stopped. It will show you a blinking icon of an emergency vehicle and tell you how far away it is. The app is also getting new warnings for speed bumps, sharp curves, and toll booths. You'll also get a heads up when the speed limit is about to drop. And later this year, info on which lane you need to be in when you enter a traffic circle. Certainly a welcome update for many people, I imagine.
Yes.
Good, the
When
roundabout.
I'm on the road in a rental car, sometimes those roundabouts, which we don't have here, really confusing. Good to know. Pippa, thank you.
There is a growing consumer backlash over rising fast food prices, and it's not just the cost of a burger and fries, it's becoming more difficult to stomach.
More and more restaurants across the country are being forced into jacking up their prices. Here to help us understand what is going on is NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, you two. You know, it's no secret Americans love to dig into a delicious, juicy burger, right? But they don't like digging deeper into their wallets to pay for it. And restaurant owners are blaming the rising price of ingredients and shelter and labor and operations. Sticker-shocked consumers say enough is enough.
It's a popular spot for a burger, fries, and more. But this morning, rising prices at Five Guys making some customers lose their appetites.
So I'm just wondering why the food here is so pricey.
One tweet going viral calling the cost of a meal out of control, along with this receipt apparently showing a $22 price tag for a bacon cheeseburger, regular soda, and little fry. People grilling the popular burger chain on social media.
This is a fast food restaurant. Why is a burger $12.50?
But Five Guys is not alone. The price of eating at restaurants rising higher than the rate of inflation in the last 12 months. Limited service meals like fast food are up 5.8% over the past year, while full service meals at sit-down restaurants increased 4.3%.
Eating away from home is about 30% more expensive than it was in 2019. But now a lot of these restaurants realize they really just can't raise prices anymore. I think customers are at a breaking point.
Increasingly high fast food prices leaving a bitter taste for consumers hungry for a good deal on a quick bite.
Almost $9 for a Big Mac.
With reports on social media of an $18 Big Mac meal at one Connecticut rest stop.
The Baconator you love?
And even Wendy's announcing it plans to test dynamic pricing, charging different prices for the same items based on demand throughout the day. Nearly all restaurant owners say they're facing higher operating and labor costs, and food prices are up too. In Milwaukee, Nas Musa is navigating those challenges. At his restaurant Casablanca, he's implementing innovative ways in an effort not to pass costs onto his customers.
Now we're making our own pita bread, and that saved us a lot of money.
The Wall Street Journal reporting more than half of small business owners, like restaurateurs, said higher labor costs are their biggest source of inflation.
So NBC News reached out to Five Guys for comment, did not hear back. McDonald's has previously told us that individual franchises, of course, can set their own prices. For independent restaurants, they tell us rent, packaging, ingredients, labor costs, all coming together as a real challenge. And they know that consumers have hit the breaking point here on inflation. They're getting creative, trying to hold costs in line. They tell us they're switching ingredients. They're tweaking their menus. They're taking things off the menu that are just too expensive to make for the price point. But for them, packaging. I talked to one restaurant owner recently who told me that packaging had tripled. Wow. You know, when you think about that. And those prices have not been coming down. So it's not just the food on the plate. It's everything around it. It's the cost of the restaurant. It is the labor. A lot of states have raised their minimum wage, and that is feeding into, pun intended, I guess, into some of these costs. But we know that consumers are tired of paying these higher prices. Yeah. So they're looking for alternatives, no question, and loudly complaining about it.
Yeah, no kidding. And they have a place to do that.
They sure do.
Social media. All right,
TikTok,
Christine,
yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Coming up, following that emotional retirement announcement from Jason Kelce, Kylie Kelce is speaking out.
Her exclusive interview with our Philly sister station, WCAU, next.
Live from Tel Aviv. We are live tonight from Juarez, Mexico, reporting over the skies of Lahaina here in Florida. The time to evacuate has come and gone.
You were seeing people just running for their lives?
People running for their lives.
Hundreds of Israelis have gathered to demonstrate.
What do the people in Gaza, do you think, what do they need most?
Place where Palestinians and Israelis have found common ground.
Every night, it's your news playlist. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Streaming weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Morgan Radford.
I'm Vicki Wynn.
I'm Kate Snow.
And I'm Zinklea Samwan.
Get in-depth reporting from across the country.
We have breaking news out of the White House
and around the world.
Questions about the rebellion inside Russia.
And ways you can take care of your health.
What are symptoms that people should be on the lookout for?
And your wallet.
Some really great last-minute deals if you have flexibility.
NBC News Daily. Weekdays from 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern on NBC News Now.
From inside Iran, from Israel, from Florida. Part of our continued reporting. Everyone safe? Everybody good? Women, children.
There was barely a dry eye in the room when beloved Eagles star Jason Kelce delivered his speech this week, retiring from the NFL.
Well, now his wife, Kylie, is speaking out about that emotional moment and what it was like for her. NBC correspondent Kaylee Hartung has the heartfelt details.
Hey, Joe and Savannah. And let me warn you, there are more tears in the latest episode of Jason and Travis Kelce's podcast that just dropped. But this morning, we're hearing what was going through Kylie's mind during her husband's emotional goodbye. As Jason said, she has been such an important source of strength and support for him. And we're learning she was the first to hear the speech that's resonating so deeply.
On the heels of her husband Jason Kelce's emotional retirement speech,
thank you, Philadelphia.
Kylie Kelce sharing her reaction in an exclusive interview with NBC Philadelphia affiliate WCAU.
I think I was the only one that had heard the speech before we went into it. It was just a perfect summary of 13 years.
Jason's tearful goodbye, closing the chapter on a legendary 13-year NFL career. A speech Kylie says had been a work in progress for the last 4 years.
When he said that he was contemplating retirement for years, he means for years.
The couple tied the knot in 2018, first matching on a dating app before meeting at a local sports bar in 2014. Jason called it one of the most pivotal moments of his life.
I still remember the moment she walked through the door. The first instance is burned in my retina. Then she started talking. And I thought, man, is this what love feels like?
But a night Kylie remembers a bit differently.
It cracks me up that he tries to talk about what he remembers from that night because he was, as I've said before, intoxicated.
Jason saying Kylie has brought out the best in him, professionally and personally.
I've just been supportive of my husband in everything that he does, and I'll continue to do that with whatever the next step is.
Appreciation for Jason extending far beyond Philadelphia. The Cleveland Cavaliers paying tribute to him and younger brother Travis during Tuesday night's game.
Jason Kelce!
Honoring the hometown boys with their own bobbleheads.
I look way better than I was expecting.
The two speaking out about Jason's retirement this morning on their hit podcast.
I'm hard on myself, and if I go out there and I'm not the player that I want to be, it'll crush me. So I feel very confident in the decision I've made. I know that it's time. I've had a really good run.
As the Kelce family looks to the future.
It's exciting to see that people are excited to see what's next.
And among the many poignant stories being shared online about Jason and the legacy he's created, one of the Eagles' longtime athletic trainers, Joe Appello, who's cared for Jason his entire career, he's been battling cancer for the past year, and he missed Jason's final season. So Jason asked Joe to actually tape his ankles for his retirement press conference so that Joe would be the last one to do it. Pretty cool, right, guys?
Okay.
That is a great detail. All right. Kaylee, thank you so much. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Stay with us.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.